To suffer, to endure.
爱，
To suffer, to endure.
癌症，
Cancer.
癌症，
Cancer.
爱不释手，
To like, to love something so much that one cannot bear to part with it.
爱不释手，
To like, to love something so much that one cannot bear to part with it.
爱戴，
To love, to esteem.
爱戴，
To love, to esteem.
案例，
Case.
案例，
Case.
昂贵，
Expensive.
昂贵，
Expensive.
八，
To push aside.
八，
To push aside.
把关，
To check on.
把关，
To check on.
把手，
Handle.
把手，
Handle.
霸道，
Overbearing, domineering.
霸道，
Overbearing, domineering.
败坏，
To ruin, to corrupt.
败坏，
To ruin, to corrupt.
拜年，
To pay a New Year call.
拜年，
To pay a New Year call.
颁布，
To promulgate, to issue.
颁布，
To promulgate, to issue.
半途而废，
To give up halfway.
半途而废，
To give up halfway.
扮演，
To act, to play the part of.
扮演，
To act, to play the part of.
伴侣，
Companion.
伴侣，
Companion.
榜样，
Example, model.
榜样，
Example, model.
包袱，
Burden, load.
包袱，
Burden, load.
保管，
To guarantee.
保管，
To guarantee.
保密，
To maintain secrecy, to keep something secret.
保密，
To maintain secrecy, to keep something secret.
保守，
Conservative.
保守，
Conservative.
保障，
To guarantee.
保障，
To guarantee.
保重，
To take care of oneself.
保重，
To take care of oneself.
抱负，
Ambition, aspiration.
抱负，
Ambition, aspiration.
曝光，
To expose.
曝光，
To expose.
爆发，
To explode, to burst.
爆发，
To explode, to burst.
爆炸，
To explode, to go off, to blow up.
爆炸，
To explode, to go off, to blow up.
卑鄙，
Mean, despicable.
卑鄙，
Mean, despicable.
悲哀，
Sad, sorrowful.
悲哀，
Sad, sorrowful.
备忘录，
Memorandum.
备忘录，
Memorandum.
背叛，
To betray.
背叛，
To betray.
背诵，
To recite, to repeat from memory.
背诵，
To recite, to repeat from memory.
被动，
Passive.
被动，
Passive.
奔驰，
To run quickly, to speed.
奔驰，
To run quickly, to speed.
本钱，
Capital, seed money.
本钱，
Capital, seed money.
迸发，
To burst forth, to burst out.
迸发，
To burst forth, to burst out.
逼迫，
To force, to compel, to coerce.
逼迫，
To force, to compel, to coerce.
鼻涕，
Nasal mucus.
鼻涕，
Nasal mucus.
比重，
Proportion.
比重，
Proportion.
鄙视，
To despise, to disdain.
鄙视，
To despise, to disdain.
闭塞，
Occluded, blocked.
闭塞，
Occluded, blocked.
边境，
Border, frontier.
边境，
Border, frontier.
编织，
To weave.
编织，
To weave.
鞭策，
To spur on, to urge on.
鞭策，
To spur on, to urge on.
变故，
Accident, unforeseen event.
变故，
Accident, unforeseen event.
便利，
Convenient.
便利，
Convenient.
辩解，
To justify, to try to defend oneself.
辩解，
To justify, to try to defend oneself.
表彰，
To commend, to cite.
表彰，
To commend, to cite.
丙，
Third.
丙，
Third.
并列，
To stand side by side.
并列，
To stand side by side.
波涛，
Great waves.
波涛，
Great waves.
播种，
To sow.
播种，
To sow.
博览会，
Exposition, expo.
博览会，
Exposition, expo.
不愧，
To be worthy of.
不愧，
To be worthy of.
不屑一顾，
To not spare a glance for.
不屑一顾，
To not spare a glance for.
不敢当，
To be flattered.
不敢当，
To be flattered.
不堪，
Can't stand, can't bear.
不堪，
Can't stand, can't bear.
不免，
Unavoidably.
不免，
Unavoidably.
不时，
From time to time.
不时，
From time to time.
不惜，
To not spare, to not scruple.
不惜，
To not spare, to not scruple.
不相上下，
Equally matched.
不相上下，
Equally matched.
不言而喻，
To be self-evident, to be comprehended without being told, it goes without saying that.
不言而喻，
To be self-evident, to be comprehended without being told, it goes without saying that.
不止，
To be ceaseless.
不止，
To be ceaseless.
布局，
To arrange, to lay out.
布局，
To arrange, to lay out.
布置，
To arrange, to fix up.
布置，
To arrange, to fix up.
部署，
To arrange, to map out.
部署，
To arrange, to map out.
财富，
Wealth, fortune.
财富，
Wealth, fortune.
财务，
Finance.
财务，
Finance.
裁判，
Referee.
裁判，
Referee.
采购，
Purchase.
采购，
Purchase.
残次品，
Damaged product, defective product.
残次品，
Damaged product, defective product.
残酷，
Cruel, brutal.
残酷，
Cruel, brutal.
残留，
To remain, to be left over.
残留，
To remain, to be left over.
仓促，
Hasty, hurried.
仓促，
Hasty, hurried.
仓库，
Warehouse.
仓库，
Warehouse.
仓，
Cabin.
仓，
Cabin.
侧面，
Side.
侧面，
Side.
策略，
Tactic, strategy.
策略，
Tactic, strategy.
层出不穷，
To emerge in an endless stream, to be continuing without end, to come out in an unending flow.
层出不穷，
To emerge in an endless stream, to be continuing without end, to come out in an unending flow.
层次，
Level, layer.
层次，
Level, layer.
插座，
Socket.
插座，
Socket.
查获，
To hunt down and seize, to track down.
查获，
To hunt down and seize, to track down.
差，
To change the topic or subject of conversation.
差，
To change the topic or subject of conversation.
柴油，
Diesel oil.
柴油，
Diesel oil.
昌盛，
Prosperous, flourishing.
昌盛，
Prosperous, flourishing.
场合，
Occasion, situation.
场合，
Occasion, situation.
敞开，
To open wide.
敞开，
To open wide.
倡导，
To advocate, to propose.
倡导，
To advocate, to propose.
倡议，
To propose, to advocate.
倡议，
To propose, to advocate.
钞票，
Banknote, paper money.
钞票，
Banknote, paper money.
朝代，
Dynasty.
朝代，
Dynasty.
潮流，
Trend, fashion.
潮流，
Trend, fashion.
沉淀，
To precipitate.
沉淀，
To precipitate.
沉闷，
Depressing, dull.
沉闷，
Depressing, dull.
沉思，
To ponder, to meditate, to be lost in thought.
沉思，
To ponder, to meditate, to be lost in thought.
沉着，
Composed, steady, calm.
沉着，
Composed, steady, calm.
陈旧，
Outmoded, obsolete.
陈旧，
Outmoded, obsolete.
称号，
Title,
称号，
title.
诚心，
Intentionally, on purpose.
诚心，
Intentionally, on purpose.
成员，
Member,
成员，
member.
诚挚，
Sincere,
诚挚，
sincere.
承办，
To undertake,
承办，
to undertake.
承包，
To contract, with.
承包，
To contract, with.
秤，
Weighing scale,
秤，
weighing scale.
吃力，
Strenuous, laborious.
吃力，
Strenuous, laborious.
冲击，
To challenge, to go for.
冲击，
To challenge, to go for.
充实，
Substantial, rich.
充实，
Substantial, rich.
充足，
Sufficient, adequate.
充足，
Sufficient, adequate.
崇拜，
To adore, to admire.
崇拜，
To adore, to admire.
崇高，
Lofty, sublime, high.
崇高，
Lofty, sublime, high.
崇敬，
To esteem, to respect.
崇敬，
To esteem, to respect.
筹备，
To prepare.
筹备，
To prepare.
出路，
Way out.
出路，
Way out.
出神，
To be absorbed in, to be lost in thought.
出神，
To be absorbed in, to be lost in thought.
出息，
Prospects, bright future.
出息，
prospects, bright future.
初步，
Initial, preliminary.
初步，
Initial, preliminary.
处境，
Situation, position.
处境，
Situation, position.
处置，
To handle, to manage, to deal with.
处置，
To handle, to manage, to deal with.
储备，
To store for future use.
储备，
To store for future use.
川流不息，
Coming and going all the time.
川流不息，
Coming and going all the time.
串，
String,
串，
string.
创业，
To start an undertaking or a business, to do pioneering work.
创业，
To start an undertaking or a business, to do pioneering work.
创作，
To compose, to write.
创作，
To compose, to write.
吹捧，
To flatter, to tout.
吹捧，
To flatter, to tout.
纯洁，
Pure,
纯洁，
pure.
慈善，
Charitable,
慈善，
charitable.
次品，
Defective product,
次品，
defective product.
次序，
Order, sequence.
次序，
Order, sequence.
从容，
Calm, leisurely.
从容，
Calm, leisurely.
摧残，
To destroy, to damage.
摧残，
To destroy, to damage.
脆弱，
Weak,
脆弱，
weak.
磋商，
To consult, to negotiate.
磋商，
To consult, to negotiate.
搭配，
To match,
搭配，
to match.
答复，
To reply to,
答复，
to reply to.
打包，
To pack,
打包，
to pack.
打官司，
To litigate, to go to law.
打官司，
To litigate, to go to law.
打击，
To hit, to strike.
打击，
To hit, to strike.
打仗，
To fight a battle.
打仗，
To fight a battle.
大臣，
Minister, of a monarchy.
大臣，
Minister, of a monarchy.
大肆，
Without restraint, recklessly.
大肆，
Without restraint, recklessly.
大体，
Roughly, more or less, on the whole.
大体，
Roughly, more or less, on the whole.
大意，
Careless,
大意，
careless.
大致，
Roughly, approximately.
大致，
Roughly, approximately.
歹徒，
Gangster, evildoer.
歹徒，
Gangster, evildoer.
代价，
Cost, price.
代价，
Cost, price.
带领，
To lead, to head.
带领，
To lead, to head.
逮捕，
To arrest.
逮捕，
To arrest.
担保，
To warrant, to guarantee, to ensure.
担保，
To warrant, to guarantee, to ensure.
胆怯，
Timid, cowardly.
胆怯，
Timid, cowardly.
淡季，
Slack season, off season.
淡季，
Slack season, off season.
蛋白质，
Protein.
蛋白质，
Protein.
当场，
On the spot, then and there.
当场，
On the spot, then and there.
当代，
Present, contemporary era.
当代，
Present, contemporary era.
当前，
Current, at present.
当前，
Current, at present.
当务之急，
Top priority.
当务之急，
Top priority.
档次，
Level.
档次，
Level.
捣乱，
To make trouble.
捣乱，
To make trouble.
盗窃，
To steal.
盗窃，
To steal.
得天独厚，
To be richly endowed by nature, to abound in gifts of nature, to have particularly favorable natural conditions.
得天独厚，
To be richly endowed by nature, to abound in gifts of nature, to have particularly favorable natural conditions.
得罪，
To offend, to displease.
得罪，
To offend, to displease.
灯笼，
Lantern.
灯笼，
Lantern.
登录，
To log in.
登录，
To log in.
灯，
To kick.
灯，
To kick.
等候，
To wait.
等候，
To wait.
抵达，
To arrive at, to reach.
抵达，
To arrive at, to reach.
地步，
Situation point.
地步，
Situation point.
递增，
To increase progressively.
递增，
To increase progressively.
颠簸，
To bump, to jolt.
颠簸，
To bump, to jolt.
电源，
Power supply.
电源，
Power supply.
电，
Pad, cushion, mat.
电，
Pad, cushion, mat.
雕，
To hold in the mouth.
雕，
To hold in the mouth.
调动，
To mobilize, to transfer.
调动，
To mobilize, to transfer.
钉，
Fourth.
叮
Fourth.
叮嘱
To urge again and again, to repeatedly advise.
叮嘱
To urge again and again, to repeatedly advise.
定期
Regular, periodical.
定期
Regular, periodical.
丢三落四
To be forgetful, to miss this and that.
丢三落四
To be forgetful, to miss this and that.
动脉
Artery.
动脉
Artery.
动身
To set off, to set out.
动身
To set off, to set out.
动员
To mobilize, to arouse.
动员
To mobilize, to arouse.
兜
Pocket bag.
兜
Pocket bag.
毒品
Drug, narcotic.
毒品
Drug, narcotic.
堵塞
To jam, to block.
堵塞
To jam, to block.
赌博
To gamble.
赌博
To gamble.
杜绝
To completely eradicate, to put an end to.
杜绝
To completely eradicate, to put an end to.
端端正正
Straight, regular, feature.
端端正正
Straight, regular, feature.
端正
Straight.
端正
Straight.
短促
Short, brief.
短促
Short, brief.
堆积
To pile up.
堆积
To pile up.
对策
Countermeasure, countermove.
对策
Countermeasure, countermove.
对付
To tackle, to deal with.
对付
To tackle, to deal with.
对立
To oppose.
对立
To oppose.
对联
Couplet.
对联
Couplet.
对照
To refer to compare.
对照
To refer to compare.
兑现
To fulfill.
兑现
To fulfill.
多元化
Diversified, pluralistic.
多元化
Diversified, pluralistic.
堕落
To degenerate, to fall, to corrupt.
堕落
To degenerate, to fall, to corrupt.
恶心
Disgusting.
恶心
Disgusting.
恶化
To deteriorate, to worsen.
恶化
To deteriorate, to worsen.
遏制
To control, to curb.
遏制
To control, to curb.
二氧化碳
Carbon dioxide.
二氧化碳
Carbon dioxide.
发财
To make a fortune.
发财
To make a fortune.
发呆
To stare blankly.
发呆
To stare blankly.
发誓，
To swear to vow.
发誓，
To swear to vow.
发扬，
To develop, to promote, to carry forward.
发扬，
To develop, to promote, to carry forward.
反抗，
To revolt, to resist, to react.
反抗，
To revolt, to resist, to react.
反馈，
To give feedback.
反馈，
To give feedback.
反射，
To reflect.
反射，
To reflect.
反之，
Otherwise, on the contrary.
反之，
Otherwise, on the contrary.
泛滥，
To be in flood, to overflow.
泛滥，
To be in flood, to overflow.
贩卖，
To sell, to traffic.
贩卖，
To sell, to traffic.
方位，
Direction.
方位，
Direction.
方言，
Dialect.
方言，
Dialect.
方圆，
Surrounding area.
方圆，
Surrounding area.
防守，
To defend.
防守，
To defend.
防御，
To defend.
防御，
To defend.
防治，
To prevent and cure.
防治，
To prevent and cure.
纺织，
To spin and weave.
纺织，
To spin and weave.
放射，
To radiate.
放射，
To radiate.
非法，
Illegal.
非法，
Illegal.
分寸，
Proper limits for speech or action.
分寸，
Proper limits for speech or action.
分解，
To decompose, to disintegrate, to disassemble.
分解，
To decompose, to disintegrate, to disassemble.
分泌，
To secrete.
分泌，
To secrete.
分歧，
Difference.
分歧，
Difference.
吩咐，
To instruct, to order.
吩咐，
To instruct, to order.
坟墓，
Grave tomb.
坟墓，
Grave tomb.
粉末，
Powder.
粉末，
Powder.
粉碎，
To smash.
粉碎，
To smash.
丰收，
To have a bumper harvest.
丰收，
To have a bumper harvest.
风味，
Flavor.
风味，
Flavor.
封闭，
To close, to seal.
封闭，
To close, to seal.
封建，
Feudalism.
封建，
Feudalism.
封锁，
To block, to seal off.
封锁，
To block, to seal off.
否决，
To veto, to reject, to turn down.
否决，
To veto, to reject, to turn down.
夫人，
Wife.
夫人，
Wife.
福气，
To be convinced.
福气，
To be convinced.
符号，
Symbol, sign.
符号，
Symbol, sign.
幅度，
Range.
幅度，
Range.
腐败，
Corrupt, rotten.
腐败，
Corrupt, rotten.
负，
Used to indicate facial expression, air, look.
负，
Used to indicate facial expression, air, look.
赋予，
To give, to endow, to entrust.
赋予，
To give, to endow, to entrust.
改良，
To improve, to reform.
改良，
To improve, to reform.
钙，
Calcium.
钙，
Calcium.
盖章，
To seal, to stamp.
盖章，
To seal, to stamp.
干涉，
To interfere, to intervene.
干涉，
To interfere, to intervene.
干预，
To intervene, to meddle.
干预，
To intervene, to meddle.
尴尬，
Awkward.
尴尬，
Awkward.
干劲，
Passion, energy.
干劲，
Passion, energy.
岗位，
Post station, job.
岗位，
Post station, job.
港湾，
Harbor.
港湾，
Harbor.
高明，
Brilliant, wise, bright.
高明，
Brilliant, wise, bright.
高涨，
In, high, spirits.
高涨，
In, high, spirits.
告辞，
To take leave.
告辞，
To take leave.
割，
To cut, to give up.
割，
To cut, to give up.
革命，
Revolution.
革命，
Revolution.
隔阂，
Estrangement, misunderstanding.
隔阂，
Estrangement, misunderstanding.
根深蒂固，
Deep-seated, deep-rooted, ingrained.
根深蒂固，
Deep-seated, deep-rooted, ingrained.
根源，
Root, cause.
根源，
Root, cause.
公安局，
Public Security Bureau, police station.
公安局，
Public Security Bureau, police station.
公然，
Openly, undisguisedly.
公然，
Openly, undisguisedly.
公认，
To generally acknowledge.
公认，
To generally acknowledge.
公式，
Formula.
公式，
Formula.
公务
Public affairs official business.
公务
Public affairs official business.
功劳
Credit meritorious service, deed, contribution.
功劳
Credit meritorious service, deed, contribution.
供不应求
The supply is not adequate for the demand.
供不应求
The supply is not adequate for the demand.
共计
To add up to.
共计
To add up to.
股东
Shareholder, stockholder.
股东
Shareholder, stockholder.
股份
Share stock.
股份
Share stock.
故乡
Hometown.
故乡
Hometown.
故障
Malfunction, breakdown.
故障
Malfunction, breakdown.
关怀
To show loving care for.
关怀
To show loving care for.
关照
To look after, to keep an eye on.
关照
To look after, to keep an eye on.
观光
To go sightseeing.
观光
To go sightseeing.
官方
Authority of or by the government.
官方
Authority of or by the government.
管辖
To rule, to govern.
管辖
To rule, to govern.
惯例
Routine.
惯例
Routine.
罐
Can, tin.
罐
Can, tin.
光彩
Glamour.
光彩
Glamour.
光辉
Glorious.
光辉
Glorious.
光芒
Rays of light.
光芒
Rays of light.
归根到底
In the final last analysis.
归根到底
In the final last analysis.
归还
To return, to give back.
归还
To return, to give back.
规范
Standard normative.
规范
Standard normative.
规格
Standard norm.
规格
Standard norm.
规章
Rules, regulations.
规章
Rules, regulations.
轨道
Track, rail.
轨道
Track, rail.
贵族
Noble, aristocrat.
贵族
Noble, aristocrat.
过失
Fault, error.
过失
Fault, error.
过问
To bother about, to concern oneself with.
过问
To bother about, to concern oneself with.
过瘾
Satisfying a craving.
过瘾
Satisfying a craving.
含糊
Vague, ambiguous.
含糊
Vague, ambiguous.
含义
Meaning, implication.
含义
Meaning, implication.
寒暄
To exchange conventional greetings.
寒暄
To exchange conventional greetings.
行列
Ranks.
行列
Ranks.
航空
Aviation.
航空
Aviation.
毫米
Millimeter, mm.
毫米
Millimeter, mm.
豪迈
Bold and generous, heroic.
豪迈
Bold and generous, heroic.
合伙
To form a partnership.
合伙
To form a partnership.
核算
Worthwhile.
核算
Worthwhile.
痕迹
Mark, trace.
痕迹
Mark, trace.
狠心
Heartless, cruel-hearted.
狠心
Heartless, cruel-hearted.
横
Sidewards.
横
Sidewards.
洪水
Flood.
洪水
Flood.
红
To coax to humor.
红
To coax to humor.
喉咙
Throat.
喉咙
Throat.
呼啸
To roar, to howl.
呼啸
To roar, to howl.
呼吁
To appeal, to call on.
呼吁
To appeal, to call on.
胡乱
Carelessly, casually.
胡乱
Carelessly, casually.
化妆
To put on makeup, to make up.
化妆
To put on makeup, to make up.
画蛇添足
To paint a snake with feet, superfluous.
画蛇添足
To paint a snake with feet, superfluous.
欢乐
Happy, joyous.
欢乐
Happy, joyous.
环节
Link, segment.
环节
Link, segment.
荒凉
Desolate, wild.
荒凉
Desolate, wild.
荒谬
Preposterous, ridiculous.
荒谬
Preposterous, ridiculous.
荒唐
Absurd, ridiculous.
荒唐
Absurd, ridiculous.
皇帝
Emperor.
皇帝
Emperor.
皇后
Empress, wife of an emperor.
皇后
Empress, wife of an emperor.
黄昏
Dusk.
黄昏
Dusk.
回避
To avoid, to dodge.
回避
To avoid, to dodge.
回顾
To review, to look back on.
回顾
To review, to look back on.
毁灭
To destroy, to ruin.
毁灭
To destroy, to ruin.
汇报
To report, to give an account of.
汇报
To report, to give an account of.
荤
Meat or fish.
荤
Meat or fish.
混乱
In chaos, confused, disordered.
混乱
In chaos, confused, disordered.
活该
To deserve, to serve sprite.
活该
To deserve, to serve sprite.
火箭
Rocket.
火箭
Rocket.
讥笑
To laugh at, to jibe.
讥笑
To laugh at, to jibe.
机灵
Smart, clever.
机灵
Smart, clever.
机密
Confidential, secret.
机密
Confidential, secret.
基因
Gene.
基因
Gene.
激发
To arouse, to stimulate.
激发
To arouse, to stimulate.
激励
To encourage, to inspire.
激励
To encourage, to inspire.
吉祥
Lucky, propitious.
吉祥
Lucky, propitious.
级别
Rank, level.
级别
Rank, level.
极限
Limit, maximum, extremity.
极限
Limit, maximum, extremity.
即将
To be about to be on the point of soon.
即将
To be about to be on the point of soon.
急功近利
To be anxious to achieve quick success and get instant benefits.
急功近利
To be anxious to achieve quick success and get instant benefits.
急剧
Rapid, sharp, sudden.
急剧
Rapid, sharp, sudden.
急于求成
To be anxious for success.
急于求成
To be anxious for success.
籍贯
The place of one's birth or origin.
籍贯
The place of one's birth or origin.
记性
Memory.
记性
Memory.
忌讳
To avoid as harmful.
忌讳
To avoid as harmful.
季度
Quarter, of a year.
季度
Quarter, of a year.
季军
Third place winner, second runner-up.
季军
Third place winner, second runner-up.
寄托
To place, hope, etc., on.
寄托
To place, hope, etc., on.
夹杂
To be mixed up with.
夹杂
To be mixed up with.
家常
The daily life of a family.
家常
The daily life of a family.
家属
Family members.
家属
Family members.
家喻户晓
To be known to every household.
家喻户晓
To be known to every household.
坚定，
Firm.
坚定，
Firm.
坚韧，
Tough and tensile.
坚韧，
Tough and tensile.
艰难，
Hard, difficult.
艰难，
Hard, difficult.
监狱，
Prison, jail.
监狱，
Prison, jail.
检验，
To examine, to inspect.
检验，
To examine, to inspect.
见义勇为，
To do boldly what is righteous.
见义勇为，
To do boldly what is righteous.
间接，
Indirect.
间接，
Indirect.
剑，
Sword.
剑，
Sword.
健全，
Sound, sane.
健全，
Sound, sane.
溅，
To splash.
溅，
To splash.
鉴定，
To authenticate.
鉴定，
To authenticate.
奖励，
To reward, to award.
奖励，
To reward, to award.
奖，
Paddle.
奖，
Paddle.
降临，
To descend, to befall.
降临，
To descend, to befall.
交叉，
To intersect, to cross.
交叉，
To intersect, to cross.
交代，
To explain.
交代，
To explain.
交易，
To do business, to trade.
交易，
To do business, to trade.
缴纳，
To pay.
缴纳，
To pay.
较量，
To measure one's strength against, to have a contest.
较量，
To measure one's strength against, to have a contest.
阶层，
Stratum rank.
阶层，
Stratum rank.
阶，
All, each, and every.
阶，
All, each, and every.
揭露，
To expose, to uncover.
揭露，
To expose, to uncover.
节奏，
Rhythm.
节奏，
Rhythm.
结晶，
Crystallization, fruit, product.
结晶，
Crystallization, fruit, product.
结算，
To settle accounts, to wind up an account.
结算，
To settle accounts, to wind up an account.
截止，
Up to, until.
截止，
Up to, until.
节制，
By, a specified time, up to.
节制，
By, a specified time, up to.
竭尽全力，
To strain every nerve, to try one's best.
竭尽全力，
To strain every nerve, to try one's best.
借鉴，
To use for reference, to draw lessons from.
借鉴，
To use for reference, to draw lessons from.
紧迫，
urgent immediate,
紧迫，
urgent immediate.
锦上添花，
To add a beautiful thing to a contrasting beautiful thing, to add brilliance to one's present splendor.
锦上添花，
To add a beautiful thing to a contrasting beautiful thing, to add brilliance to one's present splendor.
进攻，
To attack,
进攻，
to attack.
进展，
To make progress,
进展，
to make progress.
惊动，
To shock, to startle,
惊动，
to shock, to startle.
精密，
Precise, accurate,
精密，
precise, accurate.
精通，
To master, to be proficient in,
精通，
to master, to be proficient in.
精益求精，
To always endeavor to do still better, to constantly perfect one's skill.
精益求精，
To always endeavor to do still better, to constantly perfect one's skill.
颈，
Well,
颈，
well.
颈椎，
Cervical vertebrae,
颈椎，
cervical vertebrae.
警告，
To warn,
警告，
to warn.
竞赛，
To have a contest,
竞赛，
to have a contest.
境界，
State realm,
境界，
state realm.
纠正，
To correct,
纠正，
to correct.
酒精，
Alcohol,
酒精，
alcohol.
就近，
To do or get sth, nearby, in the neighborhood.
就近，
To do or get sth, nearby, in the neighborhood.
拘留，
To detain,
拘留，
to detain.
拘束，
To restrain, to restrict.
拘束，
To restrain, to restrict.
居民，
Resident,
居民，
resident.
局部，
Part,
局部，
part.
咀嚼，
To chew,
咀嚼，
to chew.
沮丧，
Disappointed, depressed.
沮丧，
Disappointed, depressed.
举足轻重，
To play a decisive role.
举足轻重，
To play a decisive role.
剧烈，
Intense,
剧烈，
intense.
聚精会神，
To concentrate one's attention and energy on.
聚精会神，
To concentrate one's attention and energy on.
绝望，
To be in despair.
绝望，
To be in despair.
军队，
Army troops.
军队，
Army troops.
开阔，
Open, broad.
开阔，
Open, broad.
开明，
Enlightened, liberal, open-minded.
开明，
enlightened, liberal, open-minded.
开展，
To carry out, to launch.
开展，
To carry out, to launch.
勘探，
To prospect, mineral resources.
勘探，
To prospect, mineral resources.
侃侃而谈，
To speak with fervor and assurance.
侃侃而谈，
To speak with fervor and assurance.
砍伐，
To cut down, to chop.
砍伐，
To cut down, to chop.
看待，
To regard, to treat.
看待，
To regard, to treat.
慷慨，
Generous.
慷慨，
Generous.
考验，
To test, to trial.
考验，
To test, to trial.
磕，
To knock, to hit.
磕，
To knock, to hit.
可观，
Considerable.
可观，
Considerable.
可口，
Yummy, delicious.
可口，
Yummy, delicious.
可行，
Feasible, workable, practicable.
可行，
Feasible, workable, practicable.
克制，
To restrain, to refrain.
克制，
To restrain, to refrain.
空洞，
Empty, hollow, devoid of content.
空洞，
Empty, hollow, devoid of content.
空想，
To daydream.
空想，
To daydream.
恐，
Whole.
恐，
Whole.
恐惧，
Fearful, scared.
恐惧，
Fearful, scared.
空隙，
Gap.
空隙，
Gap.
口腔，
Oral cavity.
口腔，
Oral cavity.
口头，
Oral, verbal.
口头，
Oral, verbal.
扣，
To deduct, to discount, to take off.
扣，
To deduct, to discount, to take off.
哭泣，
To weep, to sob, to cry.
哭泣，
To weep, to sob, to cry.
苦尽甘来，
All sufferings have their reward, after suffering comes happiness.
苦尽甘来，
All sufferings have their reward, after suffering comes happiness.
宽敞，
Spacious.
宽敞，
Spacious.
款待，
To treat cordially, to entertain with courtesy and warmth.
款待，
To treat cordially, to entertain with courtesy and warmth.
款式，
Model, style, design.
款式，
Model, style, design.
矿产，
Mineral resources.
矿产，
Mineral resources.
框架，
Frame.
框架，
Frame.
亏待，
To treat unfairly, to treat shabbily.
亏待，
To treat unfairly, to treat shabbily.
扩充，
To expand.
扩充，
To expand.
蜡烛，
Candle.
蜡烛，
Candle.
蜡，
Sound expressing exclamation or interrogation.
蜡，
Sound expressing exclamation or interrogation.
狼狈，
In a mess, in a difficult position.
狼狈，
In a mess, in a difficult position.
捞，
To drag for, to scoop up.
捞，
To drag for, to scoop up.
牢骚，
To grumble, to complain.
牢骚，
To grumble, to complain.
乐趣，
Delight, pleasure, joy.
乐趣，
Delight, pleasure, joy.
乐意，
To be willing to be ready to.
乐意，
To be willing to be ready to.
冷酷，
Unfeeling, callous, grim.
冷酷，
Unfeeling, callous, grim.
黎明，
Dawn.
黎明，
Dawn.
礼节，
Courtesy, etiquette.
礼节，
Courtesy, etiquette.
里程碑，
Milestone.
里程碑，
Milestone.
理睬，
To pay attention to.
理睬，
To pay attention to.
理直气壮，
To be in the right and self-confident.
理直气壮，
To be in the right and self-confident.
理智，
Rational, sensible.
理智，
Rational, sensible.
力求，
To make every effort to do one's best to strive to.
力求，
To make every effort to do one's best to strive to.
力争，
To work hard for, to strive for.
力争，
To work hard for, to strive for.
历代，
Successive dynasties through the ages, in all ages.
历代，
Successive dynasties through the ages, in all ages.
立足，
To base on.
立足，
To base on.
连年，
In successive years, in consecutive years.
连年，
In successive years, in consecutive years.
联欢，
To get together, to party.
联欢，
To get together, to party.
联络，
To contact.
联络，
To contact.
联想，
To associate, to connect in the mind.
联想，
To associate, to connect in the mind.
列举，
To list, to enumerate.
列举，
To list, to enumerate.
临床，
Clinical.
临床，
Clinical.
吝啬，
Stingy, miserly.
吝啬，
Stingy, miserly.
灵魂，
Soul, spirit.
灵魂，
Soul, spirit.
凌晨，
Early morning.
凌晨，
Early morning.
零星，
scattered,
零星，
scattered,
领会，
to understand, to grasp,
领会，
to understand, to grasp,
领悟，
to understand, to realize,
领悟，
to understand, to realize,
领先，
to be in the lead, to take the lead,
领先，
to be in the lead, to take the lead,
留念，
to accept, keep as a souvenir,
留念，
to accept, keep as a souvenir,
聋哑，
deaf and dumb,
聋哑，
deaf and dumb,
隆重，
grand, solemn,
隆重，
grand, solemn,
垄断，
to monopolize,
垄断，
to monopolize,
笼罩，
to envelope, to hang over,
笼罩，
to envelope, to hang over,
屡次，
time and again, repeatedly,
屡次，
time and again, repeatedly,
履行，
to perform, to fulfill, to carry out,
履行，
to perform, to fulfill, to carry out,
轮廓，
outline,
轮廓，
outline,
论坛，
forum,
论坛，
forum,
络绎不绝，
to come and go in a continuous stream,
络绎不绝，
to come and go in a continuous stream,
落实，
to implement, to fulfill,
落实，
to implement, to fulfill,
麻痹，
to slacken one's vigilance, to lower one's guard,
麻痹，
to slacken one's vigilance, to lower one's guard,
蚂蚁，
ant,
蚂蚁，
ant,
埋伏，
to ambush, to lie in wait, to lie in ambush,
埋伏，
to ambush, to lie in wait, to lie in ambush,
蔓延，
to spread,
蔓延，
to spread,
漫画，
cartoon, comics,
漫画，
cartoon, comics,
慢性，
chronic,
慢性，
chronic,
茫茫，
boundless and indistinct, vast,
茫茫，
boundless and indistinct, vast,
茫然，
blank, vacant,
茫然，
blank, vacant,
冒充，
to pretend to be,
冒充，
to pretend to be,
冒犯，
to offend, to insult,
冒犯，
to offend, to insult,
美，
peace,
美，
peace,
美满，
happy, perfectly satisfactory,
美满，
happy, perfectly satisfactory,
美妙，
beautiful, fantastic,
美妙，
beautiful, fantastic,
萌芽，
to sprout,
萌芽，
to sprout,
咪
To squint.
咪
To squint.
迷信
To have blind faith in.
迷信
To have blind faith in.
民间
Folk among the people.
民间
Folk among the people.
名誉
Fame, reputation.
名誉
Fame, reputation.
明智
Wise, sensible.
明智
Wise, sensible.
命名
To name.
命名
To name.
摸索
To grope, to fumble, to feel about.
摸索
To grope, to fumble, to feel about.
模式
Mode, pattern.
模式
Mode, pattern.
模型
Model.
模型
Model.
魔鬼
Devil, demon.
魔鬼
Devil, demon.
魔术
Magic.
魔术
Magic.
抹杀
To obliterate, to write off.
抹杀
To obliterate, to write off.
墨水
Ink.
墨水
Ink.
默默
Silently, quietly.
默默
Silently, quietly.
谋求
To seek, to strive for.
谋求
To seek, to strive for.
沐浴
To bathe.
沐浴
To bathe.
耐用
Durable.
耐用
Durable.
南辕北辙
To go south by driving the chariot north, to act in a way that defeats one's purpose.
南辕北辙
To go south by driving the chariot north, to act in a way that defeats one's purpose.
难堪
Embarrassed.
难堪
Embarrassed.
难能可贵
Praiseworthy for one's excellent conduct, rare and commendable.
难能可贵
Praiseworthy for one's excellent conduct, rare and commendable.
恼火
Annoyed, irritated.
恼火
Annoyed, irritated.
内涵
Meaning, connotation.
内涵
Meaning, connotation.
拟定
To draw up, to work out.
拟定
To draw up, to work out.
逆行
Of vehicles, to go in a direction not allowed by traffic regulations.
逆行
Of vehicles, to go in a direction not allowed by traffic regulations.
捏
To hold between the fingers, to pinch.
捏
To hold between the fingers, to pinch.
凝固
To solidify, to congeal.
凝固
To solidify, to congeal.
凝聚
To agglomerate, to embody.
凝聚
To agglomerate, to embody.
扭转
To reverse, to twist.
扭转
To reverse, to twist.
纽扣
Button.
纽扣，
button,
虐待，
to maltreat, to abuse,
虐待，
to maltreat, to abuse,
挪，
to move, to shift,
挪，
to move, to shift,
偶像，
idol, icon,
偶像，
idol, icon,
哦，
oh, ah,
哦，
oh, ah,
排除，
to exclude, to eliminate,
排除，
to exclude, to eliminate,
排放，
to discharge,
排放，
to discharge,
派别，
faction, school,
派别，
faction, school,
派遣，
to send us be on mission, to dispatch,
派遣，
to send us be on mission, to dispatch,
攀登，
to climb,
攀登，
to climb,
抛弃，
to abandon, to cast aside,
抛弃，
to abandon, to cast aside,
配备，
to be equipped with,
配备，
to be equipped with,
捧，
to hold in both hands,
捧，
to hold in both hands,
劈，
to chop, to split,
劈，
to chop, to split,
屁股，
hip, bottom,
屁股，
hip, bottom,
偏见，
prejudice, bias,
偏见，
prejudice, bias,
拼搏，
to struggle, to combat,
拼搏，
to struggle, to combat,
贫乏，
poor,
贫乏，
poor,
贫困，
poor,
贫困，
poor,
频繁，
frequently, often,
频繁，
frequently, often,
品尝，
to taste,
品尝，
to taste,
品德，
moral character,
品德，
moral character,
品质，
character, quality,
品质，
character, quality,
平凡，
ordinary,
平凡，
ordinary,
平面，
plain, flat surface,
平面，
plain, flat surface,
平坦，
flat, smooth, even, level,
平坦，
flat, smooth, even, level,
平行，
to be parallel,
平行，
to be parallel,
平庸，
mediocre, ordinary,
平庸，
mediocre, ordinary,
平原，
plain,
平原，
plain,
屏幕，
screen,
屏幕，
screen,
迫害，
to persecute, to oppress cruelly,
迫害，
To persecute, to oppress cruelly.
魄力，
Daring and resolution, boldness.
魄力，
Daring and resolution, boldness.
朴素，
Plain, simple.
朴素，
Plain, simple.
普及，
To popularize.
普及，
To popularize.
凄凉，
Sad, miserable.
凄凉，
Sad, miserable.
期限，
Deadline.
期限，
Deadline.
齐全，
Complete.
齐全，
Complete.
齐心协力，
To make concerted efforts, to be all of one mind, to bend their efforts in a single direction.
齐心协力，
To make concerted efforts, to be all of one mind, to bend their efforts in a single direction.
旗袍，
Cheongsam, a close-fitting woman's dress with high neck and slit skirt.
旗袍，
Cheongsam, a close-fitting woman's dress with high neck and slit skirt.
旗帜，
Flag.
旗帜，
Flag.
岂有此理，
How unreasonable.
岂有此理，
How unreasonable.
启程，
To set out, to start on a journey.
启程，
To set out, to start on a journey.
起伏，
To rise and fall, to go up and down.
起伏，
To rise and fall, to go up and down.
起哄，
To kick up a fuss.
起哄，
To kick up a fuss.
起源，
Origin, beginning.
起源，
Origin, beginning.
气概，
Spirit, courage.
气概，
Spirit, courage.
气功，
Qigong, a system of deep breathing exercises.
气功，
Qigong, a system of deep breathing exercises.
气魄，
Boldness, spirit.
气魄，
Boldness, spirit.
气色，
Complexion, look.
气色，
Complexion, look.
气势，
Momentum.
气势，
Momentum.
迄今为止，
So far up to now.
迄今为止，
So far up to now.
器材，
Equipment.
器材，
Equipment.
恰当，
Appropriate, proper.
恰当，
Appropriate, proper.
恰到好处，
To be just perfect, to be to the point.
恰到好处，
To be just perfect, to be to the point.
迁就，
To accommodate oneself to yield to.
迁就，
To accommodate oneself to yield to.
牵扯，
To involve.
牵扯，
To involve.
前景，
Prospect, outlook.
前景，
Prospect, outlook.
前提，
Precondition.
前提，
Precondition.
潜力，
Potential.
潜力，
potential,
潜移默化，
to influence imperceptibly,
潜移默化，
to influence imperceptibly,
谴责，
to blame, to condemn, to denounce,
谴责，
to blame, to condemn, to denounce,
强制，
to force, to compel, to coerce,
强制，
to force, to compel, to coerce,
抢劫，
to rob,
抢劫，
to rob,
桥梁，
bridge,
桥梁，
bridge,
窍门，
trick, knack,
窍门，
trick, knack,
翘，
to raise, one's head, tail, etc.,
翘，
to raise, one's head, tail, etc.,
切切实实，
real,
切切实实，
real,
切实，
practical, feasible,
切实，
practical, feasible,
钦佩，
to admire, to respect, to think highly of,
钦佩，
to admire, to respect, to think highly of,
倾听，
to listen attentively to,
倾听，
to listen attentively to,
倾向，
to tend to be inclined to,
倾向，
to tend to be inclined to,
清澈，
clear,
清澈，
clear,
清理，
to clear up,
清理，
to clear up,
情报，
intelligence, information,
情报，
intelligence, information,
情理，
sense, reason,
情理，
sense, reason,
情形，
situation, circumstance,
情形，
situation, circumstance,
晴朗，
sunny, fine, and cloudless,
晴朗，
sunny, fine, and cloudless,
请教，
to ask for advice, to consult,
请教，
to ask for advice, to consult,
曲折，
tortuous, winding,
曲折，
tortuous, winding,
驱逐，
to drive out, to expel,
驱逐，
to drive out, to expel,
屈服，
to surrender, to yield, to bow to,
屈服，
to surrender, to yield, to bow to,
渠道，
channel, medium of communication,
渠道，
channel, medium of communication,
圈套，
trap, snare,
圈套，
trap, snare,
拳头，
fist,
拳头，
fist,
缺席，
to be absent, from a meeting, etc.,
缺席，
to be absent, from a meeting, etc.,
确保，
to ensure, to guarantee,
确保，
to ensure, to guarantee,
确立，
to establish,
确立，
to establish,
群众，
The crowd, general public.
群众，
The crowd, general public.
扰乱，
To disrupt, to disturb.
扰乱，
To disrupt, to disturb.
人工，
Manpower, labor.
人工，
Manpower, labor.
人为，
Artificial, man-made.
人为，
Artificial, man-made.
任性，
Capricious, self-willed.
任性，
Capricious, self-willed.
任意，
Arbitrarily, willfully.
任意，
Arbitrarily, willfully.
任重道远，
It is an arduous task and the road is long to take a heavy burden and embark on a long road.
任重道远，
It is an arduous task and the road is long to take a heavy burden and embark on a long road.
日新月异，
To change rapidly, to alter from day to day.
日新月异，
To change rapidly, to alter from day to day.
荣幸，
Honored, privileged.
荣幸，
Honored, privileged.
荣誉，
Honor,
荣誉，
honor.
容纳，
To hold, to accept.
容纳，
To hold, to accept.
容忍，
To bear, to tolerate.
容忍，
To bear, to tolerate.
融化，
To melt, to thaw.
融化，
To melt, to thaw.
揉，
To rub.
揉，
To rub.
儒家，
Confucianism.
儒家，
Confucianism.
弱点，
Weakness.
弱点，
Weakness.
撒谎，
To lie.
撒谎，
To lie.
散文，
Prose.
散文，
Prose.
散发，
To send forth, to give off.
散发，
To send forth, to give off.
骚扰，
To harass.
骚扰，
To harass.
刹车，
To break, to stop.
刹车，
To break, to stop.
上进，
To be self-motivated.
上进，
To be self-motivated.
上瘾，
To be addicted, to get into the habit.
上瘾，
To be addicted, to get into the habit.
尚且，
Even.
尚且，
Even.
奢侈，
Luxurious.
奢侈，
Luxurious.
舌头，
Tongue.
舌头，
Tongue.
设立，
To establish, to set up.
设立，
To establish, to set up.
社区，
Community, residential community.
社区，
Community, residential community.
深情厚谊，
Profound sentiments of friendship, deep friendship.
深情厚谊，
Profound sentiments of friendship, deep friendship.
神气，
Impressive, vigorous.
神气，
Impressive, vigorous.
神圣，
Sacred, holy.
神圣，
Sacred, holy.
神态，
Expression, manner, mean.
神态，
Expression, manner, mean.
神仙，
Immortal, supernatural being.
神仙，
Immortal, supernatural being.
审查，
To examine, to check.
审查，
To examine, to check.
慎重，
Careful, cautious, prudent.
慎重，
Careful, cautious, prudent.
生理，
Physiology.
生理，
Physiology.
生锈，
To get rusty.
生锈，
To get rusty.
声誉，
Reputation, fame, prestige.
声誉，
Reputation, fame, prestige.
胜负，
Victory or defeat, success or failure.
胜负，
Victory or defeat, success or failure.
盛开，
To be in full bloom.
盛开，
To be in full bloom.
盛行，
To prevail.
盛行，
To prevail.
尸体，
Corpse, dead body.
尸体，
Corpse, dead body.
失误，
Fault, slip.
失误，
Fault, slip.
石油，
Petroleum.
石油，
Petroleum.
实力，
Prowess, actual strength.
实力，
Prowess, actual strength.
实事求是，
To seek truth from facts.
实事求是，
To seek truth from facts.
实质，
Essence, substance.
实质，
Essence, substance.
使命，
Mission.
使命，
Mission.
示范，
To set an example, to demonstrate.
示范，
To set an example, to demonstrate.
事故，
Accident.
事故，
Accident.
事件，
Event, incident.
事件，
Event, incident.
试图，
To attempt, to try.
试图，
To attempt, to try.
试验，
To test, to do an experiment.
试验，
To test, to do an experiment.
视频，
Video.
视频，
Video.
是非，
Right and wrong.
是非，
Right and wrong.
适宜，
Suitable, appropriate.
适宜，
Suitable, appropriate.
逝世，
To pass away, to die.
逝世，
To pass away, to die.
收藏，
To collect.
收藏，
To collect.
收缩，
To shrink.
收缩，
To shrink.
收益，
Profit gains.
收益，
Profit gains.
收音机，
Radio.
收音机，
Radio.
手法，
Skill technique.
手法，
Skill technique.
手艺，
Handicraft, craftsmanship.
手艺，
Handicraft, craftsmanship.
守护，
To guard, to watch.
守护，
To guard, to watch.
首要，
First, of the first importance.
首要，
First, of the first importance.
舒畅，
Happy, entirely free from worry.
舒畅，
Happy, entirely free from worry.
疏忽，
To neglect, to overlook.
疏忽，
To neglect, to overlook.
束，
Beam.
束，
Beam.
束缚，
To bound, to tie.
束缚，
To bound, to tie.
树立，
To set up, to build.
树立，
To set up, to build.
数额，
Number amount.
数额，
Number amount.
衰老，
Aging.
衰老，
Aging.
衰退，
To decline, to decay.
衰退，
To decline, to decay.
率领，
To lead, to head, to command.
率领，
To lead, to head, to command.
双胞胎，
Twins.
双胞胎，
Twins.
水龙头，
Water tap.
水龙头，
Water tap.
私自，
Privately, personally.
私自，
Privately, personally.
思念，
To miss.
思念，
To miss.
寺庙，
Temple.
寺庙，
Temple.
肆无忌惮，
To act recklessly and care for nobody, to act outrageously.
肆无忌惮，
To act recklessly and care for nobody, to act outrageously.
怂，
To shrug.
怂，
To shrug.
塑造，
To portray.
塑造，
To portray.
算数，
To count, to hold, to stand.
算数，
To count, to hold, to stand.
岁月，
Year's time.
岁月，
Year's time.
损坏，
To damage, to spoil.
损坏，
To damage, to spoil.
塌，
To collapse, to fall down.
塌，
To collapse, to fall down.
泰斗，
Leading authority.
泰斗，
Leading authority.
摊
To spread out.
摊
To spread out.
弹性
Elasticity resilience.
弹性
Elasticity resilience.
坦白
Honest frank.
坦白
Honest frank.
叹气
To sigh.
叹气
To sigh.
探测
To detect.
探测
To detect.
探讨
To discuss.
探讨
To discuss.
探望
To visit, to pay a visit to call on.
探望
To visit, to pay a visit to call on.
掏
To take out, to draw out.
掏
To take out, to draw out.
陶瓷
Pottery and porcelain.
陶瓷
Pottery and porcelain.
特定
Specific.
特定
Specific.
特意
For a special purpose, specially.
特意
For a special purpose, specially.
提炼
To refine, to extract.
提炼
To refine, to extract.
提议
To propose, to suggest.
提议
To propose, to suggest.
题材
Subject, theme.
题材
Subject, theme.
体面
Respectable, decent.
体面
Respectable, decent.
天才
Genius.
天才
Genius.
天赋
Talent, gift.
天赋
Talent, gift.
天伦之乐
The happiness of a family union.
天伦之乐
The happiness of a family union.
天堂
Heaven, paradise.
天堂
Heaven, paradise.
天文
Astronomy.
天文
Astronomy.
田径
Track and field.
田径
Track and field.
田野
Field, open country.
田野
Field, open country.
田
To lick.
田
To lick.
调剂
To adjust, to regulate.
调剂
To adjust, to regulate.
调节
To regulate.
调节
To regulate.
停泊
To park.
停泊
To park.
停顿
To stop, to halt, to pause.
停顿
To stop, to halt, to pause.
通货膨胀
Inflation.
通货膨胀
Inflation.
通俗
Popular, ordinary.
通俗
Popular, ordinary.
通用
To be in common use, to be universal.
通用
To be in common use, to be universal.
同胞
Fellow countryman, compatriot.
同胞
Fellow countryman, compatriot.
同志
Comrade.
同志
Comrade.
铜
Copper.
铜
Copper.
投机
Congenial, agreeable.
投机
Congenial, agreeable.
投票
To vote.
投票
To vote.
透露
To disclose, to reveal.
透露
To disclose, to reveal.
图案
Pattern.
图案
Pattern.
徒弟
Apprentice.
徒弟
Apprentice.
途径
Way, approach.
途径
Way, approach.
涂抹
To paint, to daub.
涂抹
To paint, to daub.
推销
To promote sales.
推销
To promote sales.
吞吞吐吐
To mutter and mumble, to falter out a few words.
吞吞吐吐
To mutter and mumble, to falter out a few words.
拖延
To delay, to put off.
拖延
To delay, to put off.
妥当
Appropriately, properly.
妥当
Appropriately, properly.
唾弃
To cast aside.
唾弃
To cast aside.
娃娃
Baby, child.
娃娃
Baby, child.
哇
Wow.
哇
Wow.
歪曲
To distort, to misrepresent, to twist.
歪曲
To distort, to misrepresent, to twist.
外行
Layman, outsider.
外行
Layman, outsider.
外界
The outside world, the external world.
外界
The outside world, the external world.
完备
Complete.
完备
Complete.
顽固
Stubborn.
顽固
Stubborn.
顽强
Indomitable, staunch, tenacious.
顽强
Indomitable, staunch, tenacious.
挽救
To save, to rescue.
挽救
To save, to rescue.
万分
Very much, extremely.
万分
Very much, extremely.
往事
The past.
往事
The past.
妄想
Delusion.
妄想
Delusion.
威风
Panache, awe-inspiring bearing.
威风
Panache, awe-inspiring bearing.
威望
Prestige.
威望
Prestige.
微信
Prestige.
微信，
prestige,
微不足道，
insignificant, negligible,
微不足道，
insignificant, negligible,
为难，
to embarrass, to make things difficult for,
为难，
to embarrass, to make things difficult for,
为期，
for a period of, for a term of,
为期，
for a period of, for a term of,
违背，
to violate, to go against,
违背，
to violate, to go against,
维护，
to maintain,
维护，
to maintain,
维生素，
vitamin,
维生素，
vitamin,
委托，
to entrust, to authorize,
委托，
to entrust, to authorize,
温和，
mild, gentle,
温和，
mild, gentle,
文物，
cultural relic, historical relic,
文物，
cultural relic, historical relic,
文献，
document, literature,
文献，
document, literature,
无偿，
free of charge, for free,
无偿，
free of charge, for free,
无耻，
shameless, impudent,
无耻，
shameless, impudent,
无动于衷，
unmoved, indifferent,
无动于衷，
unmoved, indifferent,
无拘无束，
unrestrained, unfettered,
无拘无束，
unrestrained, unfettered,
无理取闹，
to make trouble out of nothing,
无理取闹，
to make trouble out of nothing,
无穷无尽，
inexhaustible, boundless, endless, from everlasting to everlasting,
无穷无尽，
inexhaustible, boundless, endless, from everlasting to everlasting,
无微不至，
meticulously, in every possible way,
无微不至，
meticulously, in every possible way,
武器，
weapon, arms,
武器，
weapon, arms,
物美价廉，
cheap and fine,
物美价廉，
cheap and fine,
物业，
property, real estate,
物业，
property, real estate,
误解，
to misunderstand,
误解，
to misunderstand,
熄灭，
to put out, to extinguish,
熄灭，
to put out, to extinguish,
媳妇，
wife,
媳妇，
wife,
喜闻乐见，
to love to see and hear, to be delighted to hear and see,
喜闻乐见，
to love to see and hear, to be delighted to hear and see,
细胞，
cell,
细胞，
cell,
细致，
meticulous, careful,
细致，
meticulous, careful,
狭隘，
narrow,
狭隘，
narrow,
狭窄，
narrow cramped,
狭窄
narrow cramped,
狭
morning or evening glow,
狭
morning or evening glow,
下属
subordinate,
下属
subordinate,
先进
advanced cutting edge,
先进
advanced cutting edge,
先前
previously before,
先前
previously before,
掀起
to start to set off to stir up,
掀起
to start to set off to stir up,
贤惠
of a woman, virtuous,
贤惠
of a woman, virtuous,
弦
string, of a musical instrument,
弦
string, of a musical instrument,
弦
to dislike, to mind, to complain of,
弦
to dislike, to mind, to complain of,
嫌疑
suspicion,
嫌疑
suspicion,
现场
sight spot,
现场
sight spot,
现成
ready-made,
现成
ready-made,
线索
clue, thread,
线索
clue, thread,
相辅相成
to exist side by side and play a part together, to be inseparably interconnected, to be supplementary to each other,
相辅相成
to exist side by side and play a part together, to be inseparably interconnected, to be supplementary to each other,
相应
corresponding,
相应
corresponding,
响亮
loud and clear, resounding,
响亮
loud and clear, resounding,
响应
to respond,
响应
to respond,
向来
always, all along,
向来
always, all along,
向
lane,
向
lane,
相声
crosstalk,
相声
crosstalk,
消除
to eliminate, to remove,
消除
to eliminate, to remove,
消毒
to disinfect,
消毒
to disinfect,
消灭
to eliminate, to eradicate,
消灭
to eliminate, to eradicate,
销毁
to destroy by melting or burning,
销毁
to destroy by melting or burning,
肖像
portrait,
肖像
portrait,
效益
efficiency,
效益
efficiency,
协会
association, club,
协会
association, club,
协助
to assist,
协助
to assist,
泄露
to leak, to disclose,
泄露
to leak, to disclose.
泄气，
To lose heart, to be frustrated.
泄气，
To lose heart, to be frustrated.
泄，
Scraps, crumbs.
泄，
Scraps, crumbs.
谢绝，
To refuse, to decline.
谢绝，
To refuse, to decline.
心得，
What one has learned from work, study, etc.
心得，
What one has learned from work, study, etc.
心态，
Attitude, mental state.
心态，
Attitude, mental state.
欣欣向荣，
Thriving, flourishing, prosperous.
欣欣向荣，
Thriving, flourishing, prosperous.
新郎，
Bridegroom,
新郎，
bridegroom.
新娘，
Bride,
新娘，
bride.
新颖，
Fashionable,
新颖，
fashionable.
信赖，
To trust,
信赖，
to trust.
信念，
Faith, belief.
信念，
Faith, belief.
信仰，
Faith, belief.
信仰，
Faith, belief.
兴隆，
Prosperous, thriving, flourishing, brisk.
兴隆，
Prosperous, thriving, flourishing, brisk.
兴旺，
Prosperous, flourishing, thriving.
兴旺，
Prosperous, flourishing, thriving.
兴，
Having the smell of fish, seafood, etc.
兴，
Having the smell of fish, seafood, etc.
刑事，
Criminal, penal.
刑事，
Criminal, penal.
性能，
Function of a machine, etc. Performance.
性能，
Function of a machine, etc. Performance.
凶恶，
Fierce, vicious.
凶恶，
Fierce, vicious.
凶手，
Murderer,
凶手，
murderer.
胸怀，
Mind, heart.
胸怀，
Mind, heart.
胸膛，
Breast, chest.
胸膛，
Breast, chest.
雄厚，
Abundant, solid, tremendous.
雄厚，
Abundant, solid, tremendous.
雄伟，
Magnificent, majestic, grand.
雄伟，
Magnificent, majestic, grand.
修复，
To fix, to restore.
修复，
To fix, to restore.
须知，
One should know that, it must be understood that.
须知，
One should know that, it must be understood that.
虚假，
False, deceptive.
虚假，
False, deceptive.
虚荣，
Vanity,
虚荣，
vanity.
虚伪，
hypocritical,
虚伪，
hypocritical,
需求，
demand, need, requirement,
需求，
demand, need, requirement,
许可，
to permit,
许可，
to permit,
宣扬，
to advertise,
宣扬，
to advertise,
喧哗，
tumultuous, noisy,
喧哗，
tumultuous, noisy,
悬殊，
with great disparity, with a wide gap,
悬殊，
with great disparity, with a wide gap,
悬崖峭壁，
precipitous rock faces and sheer cliffs, sheer precipice and overhanging rocks,
悬崖峭壁，
precipitous rock faces and sheer cliffs, sheer precipice and overhanging rocks,
旋律，
melody,
旋律，
melody,
选拔，
to select, to choose,
选拔，
to select, to choose,
选手，
athlete selected for a sports meet, competitor,
选手，
athlete selected for a sports meet, competitor,
雪上加霜，
snow plus frost, one disaster after another, to add to the misfortunes of one who is already unfortunate,
雪上加霜，
snow plus frost, one disaster after another, to add to the misfortunes of one who is already unfortunate,
血压，
blood pressure, BP,
血压，
blood pressure, BP,
熏陶，
to nurture, to edify,
熏陶，
to nurture, to edify,
循环，
to circulate,
循环，
to circulate,
循序渐进，
step by step,
循序渐进，
step by step,
压迫，
to oppress, to repress,
压迫，
to oppress, to repress,
亚军，
second place, runner-up, silver medal,
亚军，
second place, runner-up, silver medal,
烟花爆竹，
fireworks, firecrackers,
烟花爆竹，
fireworks, firecrackers,
淹没，
to drown, to overwhelm,
淹没，
to drown, to overwhelm,
严禁，
to forbid strictly,
严禁，
to forbid strictly,
严密，
tight, close,
严密，
tight, close,
炎热，
scorching, burning hot,
炎热，
scorching, burning hot,
眼神，
expression in one's eyes,
眼神，
expression in one's eyes,
演习，
to maneuver, to exercise, to drill,
演习，
to maneuver, to exercise, to drill,
演绎，
to interpret, to act out,
演绎，
to interpret, to act out,
演奏，
to play an instrument, to give an instrumental performance,
演奏，
To play an instrument, to give an instrumental performance.
验证，
To test and verify.
验证，
To test and verify.
氧气，
Oxygen.
氧气，
Oxygen.
要素，
Element.
要素，
Element.
耀眼，
Dazzling.
耀眼，
Dazzling.
依据，
According to.
依据，
According to.
依赖，
To depend on.
依赖，
To depend on.
依托，
To rely on, to depend on.
依托，
To rely on, to depend on.
一贯，
Consistent, always.
一贯，
Consistent, always.
一目了然，
To be clear at a glance.
一目了然，
To be clear at a glance.
仪器，
Instrument, apparatus.
仪器，
Instrument, apparatus.
仪式，
Ceremony.
仪式，
Ceremony.
遗传，
To inherit.
遗传，
To inherit.
以免，
Lest, for fear that.
以免，
Lest, for fear that.
以往，
Before, previously.
以往，
Before, previously.
一帆风顺，
Everything is going smoothly, to go off smoothly, to have a favorable wind all the way.
一帆风顺，
Everything is going smoothly, to go off smoothly, to have a favorable wind all the way.
一丝不苟，
To be scrupulous about every detail.
一丝不苟，
To be scrupulous about every detail.
意，
Also, too.
意，
Also, too.
意料，
To expect.
意料，
To expect.
意图，
Intention, purpose.
意图，
Intention, purpose.
意向，
Intention, purpose.
意向，
Intention, purpose.
意，
Wing.
意，
Wing.
阴谋，
Plot, conspiracy.
阴谋，
Plot, conspiracy.
音响，
Stereo.
音响，
Stereo.
引导，
To guide, to lead.
引导，
To guide, to lead.
引擎，
Engine.
引擎，
Engine.
引用，
To cite.
引用，
To cite.
隐患，
Hidden trouble, hidden danger.
隐患，
Hidden trouble, hidden danger.
英勇，
Heroic, brave.
英勇，
Heroic, brave.
应邀，
To be at somebody's invitation.
应邀，
To be at somebody's invitation.
拥护，
To support, to uphold.
拥护，
To support, to uphold.
庸俗，
Vulgar.
庸俗，
Vulgar.
永恒，
Eternal, perpetual.
永恒，
Eternal, perpetual.
涌现，
To emerge in large numbers, to spring up.
涌现，
To emerge in large numbers, to spring up.
踊跃，
Eager, active.
踊跃，
Eager, active.
优胜劣汰，
Survival of the fittest to select the superior and eliminate the inferior.
优胜劣汰，
Survival of the fittest to select the superior and eliminate the inferior.
优先，
To take precedence, to have priority.
优先，
To take precedence, to have priority.
优越，
Superior.
优越，
Superior.
幼稚，
Childish, naive.
幼稚，
Childish, naive.
舆论，
Public opinion.
舆论，
Public opinion.
羽绒服，
Down jacket.
羽绒服，
Down jacket.
玉，
Jade.
玉，
Jade.
预料，
To expect, to anticipate, to predict.
预料，
To expect, to anticipate, to predict.
预期，
To expect, to anticipate.
预期，
To expect, to anticipate.
预先，
In advance, beforehand.
预先，
In advance, beforehand.
预言，
To predict, to foretell.
预言，
To predict, to foretell.
预兆，
Sign, omen.
预兆，
Sign, omen.
预言，
Fable, allegory, parable.
预言，
Fable, allegory, parable.
冤枉，
To wrong somebody, with false charges, etc., to treat unjustly.
冤枉，
To wrong somebody, with false charges, etc., to treat unjustly.
元宵节，
The Lantern Festival.
元宵节，
The Lantern Festival.
原理，
Principle.
原理，
Principle.
圆满，
Satisfactory, perfect.
圆满，
Satisfactory, perfect.
缘故，
Reason, cause.
缘故，
Reason, cause.
源泉，
Source.
源泉，
Source.
乐谱，
Music score.
乐谱，
Music score.
孕育，
To be pregnant with, to breed.
孕育，
To be pregnant with, to breed.
运算，
To calculate.
运算，
To calculate.
运，
To iron.
运，
To iron.
再接再厉，
To make persistent efforts.
再接再厉，
To make persistent efforts.
攒，
To save, to accumulate, to gather.
攒，
To save, to accumulate, to gather.
暂且，
For the time being, for the moment.
暂且，
For the time being, for the moment.
赞叹，
To admire, to highly praise.
赞叹，
To admire, to highly praise.
遭受，
To suffer, to undergo.
遭受，
To suffer, to undergo.
糟蹋，
To waste, to spoil.
糟蹋，
To waste, to spoil.
增添，
To add.
增添，
To add.
赠送，
To give as a present.
赠送，
To give as a present.
扎实，
Solid, sound.
扎实，
Solid, sound.
诈骗，
To defraud.
诈骗，
To defraud.
沾光，
To benefit from association with somebody or something.
沾光，
To benefit from association with somebody or something.
展望，
To forecast, to look into the distance.
展望，
To forecast, to look into the distance.
占据，
To occupy, to take over.
占据，
To occupy, to take over.
占领，
To occupy, to conquer.
占领，
To occupy, to conquer.
战略，
Strategy.
战略，
Strategy.
战术，
Tactics.
战术，
Tactics.
战役，
Campaign, battle.
战役，
Campaign, battle.
招收，
To recruit, to enroll, to take in.
招收，
To recruit, to enroll, to take in.
着迷，
To be fascinated, to be captivated.
着迷，
To be fascinated, to be captivated.
折腾，
To turn from side to side, to toss about.
折腾，
To turn from side to side, to toss about.
遮挡，
To shelter from, to keep out.
遮挡，
To shelter from, to keep out.
折磨，
To torture.
折磨，
To torture.
珍贵，
Valuable, precious.
珍贵，
Valuable, precious.
珍珠，
Pearl.
珍珠，
Pearl.
真挚，
Sincere.
真挚，
Sincere.
斟酌，
To consider, to think over.
斟酌，
To consider, to think over.
枕头，
Pillow.
枕头，
Pillow.
振奋，
Inspiring, exciting. 振奋
振奋， 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 振奋，
Inspiring, exciting. Inspiring, exciting.
镇静，
Sedate, calm.
镇静，
Sedate, calm.
正月，
The first month of the lunar year.
正月，
The first month of the lunar year.
争端，
Dispute, conflict.
争端，
Dispute, conflict.
争气，
To try to make a good showing, to try to win credit for, to try to bring credit to.
争气，
To try to make a good showing, to try to win credit for, to try to bring credit to.
争议，
To dispute.
争议，
To dispute.
征服，
To conquer.
征服，
To conquer.
正规，
Regular, standard, normal.
正规，
Regular, standard, normal.
正气，
Healthy atmosphere.
正气，
Healthy atmosphere.
正义，
Just, righteous.
正义，
Just, righteous.
政策，
Policy.
政策，
Policy.
之际，
On the occasion of, during.
之际，
On the occasion of, during.
支柱，
Pillar, mainstay.
支柱，
Pillar, mainstay.
知觉，
Consciousness, aesthesia.
知觉，
Consciousness, aesthesia.
脂肪，
Fat.
脂肪，
Fat.
直播，
To broadcast live.
直播，
To broadcast live.
职能，
Function.
职能，
Function.
指定，
To appoint, to assign.
指定，
To appoint, to assign.
指甲，
Fingernail.
指甲，
Fingernail.
指令，
Order, instruction.
指令，
Order, instruction.
指责，
To censure, to criticize.
指责，
To censure, to criticize.
志气，
Aspiration, ambition, morale.
志气，
Aspiration, ambition, morale.
制裁，
To sanction, to punish.
制裁，
To sanction, to punish.
制服，
Uniform.
制服，
Uniform.
制约，
To restrict, to constrain.
制约，
To restrict, to constrain.
治理，
To administer, to manage, to govern.
治理，
To administer, to manage, to govern.
智力，
Intelligence.
智力，
Intelligence.
智商，
Intelligence, IQ.
智商，
Intelligence, IQ.
滞留，
To be detained, to be stuck in.
滞留，
To be detained, to be stuck in.
中断，
To interrupt.
中断，
To interrupt.
中央，
Middle, center.
中央，
Middle, center.
忠诚，
Loyal, faithful.
忠诚，
Loyal, faithful.
忠实，
Loyal,
忠实，
loyal.
终点，
Destination, terminal point.
终点，
Destination, terminal point.
终究，
Eventually, in the end, after all.
终究，
Eventually, in the end, after all.
终止，
To stop, to end.
终止，
To stop, to end.
中心，
Heartfelt, wholehearted.
中心，
Heartfelt, wholehearted.
肿瘤，
Tumor,
肿瘤，
tumor.
重心，
Center of gravity,
重心，
center of gravity.
州，
Boat,
州，
boat.
州，
Prefecture,
州，
prefecture.
周密，
Careful, thorough.
周密，
Careful, thorough.
周期，
Period, cycle.
周期，
Period, cycle.
诸位，
Everybody,
诸位，
everybody.
逐年，
Year by year, year after year.
逐年，
Year by year, year after year.
主办，
To host, to sponsor.
主办，
To host, to sponsor.
主导，
Lead,
主导，
lead.
嘱咐，
To instruct, to order.
嘱咐，
To instruct, to order.
助理，
Assistant,
助理，
assistant.
注重，
To lay stress on, to pay attention to.
注重，
To lay stress on, to pay attention to.
驻扎，
To be stationed, to be quartered.
驻扎，
To be stationed, to be quartered.
著作，
Works, writings.
著作，
Works, writings.
拽，
To drag, to pull.
拽，
To drag, to pull.
专长，
Specialty,
专长，
specialty.
转达，
To convey, to pass on.
转达，
To convey, to pass on.
转移，
To transfer, to shift.
转移，
To transfer, to shift.
传记，
Biography,
传记，
biography.
庄严，
Dignified, solemn.
庄严，
Dignified, solemn.
装备，
To be equipped with.
装备，
To be equipped with.
装聋装哑，
To pretend to be deaf and dumb, to pretend to be ignorant of something.
装聋装哑，
To pretend to be deaf and dumb, to pretend to be ignorant of something.
装卸，
To load and unload.
装卸，
To load and unload.
壮观，
Spectacular.
壮观，
Spectacular.
追究，
To investigate, to look into.
追究，
To investigate, to look into.
卓越，
Outstanding, remarkable, brilliant.
卓越，
Outstanding, remarkable, brilliant.
着重，
Emphatically, to emphasize.
着重，
Emphatically, to emphasize.
姿态，
Attitude, posture.
姿态，
Attitude, posture.
资本，
Capital.
资本，
Capital.
资产，
Property, asset.
资产，
Property, asset.
自发，
Spontaneous.
自发，
Spontaneous.
总而言之，
All in all, in short.
总而言之，
All in all, in short.
总和，
Some.
总和，
Some.
走廊，
Corridor.
走廊，
Corridor.
走漏，
To leak out, to divulge.
走漏，
To leak out, to divulge.
阻碍，
To hinder, to block, to impede.
阻碍，
To hinder, to block, to impede.
阻挠，
To obstruct, to thwart, to stand in the way.
阻挠，
To obstruct, to thwart, to stand in the way.
嘴唇，
Lip.
嘴唇，
Lip.
罪犯，
Criminal, offender.
罪犯，
Criminal, offender.
尊严，
Dignity, honor.
尊严，
Dignity, honor.
遵循，
To follow, to adhere to.
遵循，
To follow, to adhere to.
作风，
Style, style of work, way.
作风，
Style, style of work, way.
座右铭，
Motto.
座右铭，
Motto.